Hi guys, it's Debbie, and a few days ago I finally watched Rental Family. A very nice summer experience because it was at a beautiful outdoor cinema. And the only slightly annoying thing was that because it was in original language, every time they spoke in Japanese, we had the English subtitles, and then above that the Italian subtitles, so at times there was loads of text on the screen to read. But it was okay, it was fine. And most importantly, although it's not a superlative movie, I was happy to find out that myself, as many others, found it way better than expected. It also perfectly ties into the string of movies I've been talking about lately, all centered around the bittersweetness of life, loving and suffering and loneliness. I've recently talked a lot about Train Dreams, Blue Heron, Remarkably Black Creatures, Hamnet, Sorry Baby, The Ballad of Wallace Island, and now here we are with Rental Family. Brendan Fraser stars as a lonely American actor living and working in Japan, in Tokyo. And we're always happy to have Brendan Fraser. I think we really need the genuine warmth he brings, and we're all really trying to show him just how much we love him and his work and how happy we are to have him back in action. So as I was saying, Brendan Fraser portrays an actor, but mostly in unfulfilling jobs. He does a lot of TV commercials. For example, a lot of the marketing of this film was him in this toothpaste advert, until one day he ends up working for a company that specializes in rented people. They basically provide an actor who will genuinely act out as a friend, a partner, a co-worker, the person they need. A popular request, for example, is a partner to bring at an event. Often the service is used to cover up the reality of people's lives in front of others, helping them save face, especially in a society with high expectations and a strong concern for appearances. Of course, at first, Fraser's character is put off by this because it's feeding into that concern for appearances instead of tackling the root problem, along with the fact of actively playing into this concept of deceiving others. But he soon discovers that these people are genuinely struggling and that this really is their last resort. The movie slowly unravels all the implications and the double-sided nature of this job, and it's interesting to see just how many different ways this service can be applied. Although, I have to admit, often with very big plot holes. This film also suffers from another very big problem, and that is that the marketing for this film is very different from the actual vibe. It's sold as a very funny, quirky, feel-good movie about this unlikely man getting caught up in helping others with awkward family situations. So for me and many other people I spoke with, expectations were very low. We thought it was a very pop, light-hearted concept. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't even go and watch it when it first released in cinemas. I only ended up watching it because it was back in cinemas for like a special summer program. And when we walked away at the end of the movie, so many people commented on how it was better than expected, and I definitely heard people crying during it, just like I did. So it's a real pity because this movie is far from perfect, but it got stuck with a small release and marketing that really undersold what it actually is. The only time I saw the marketing really digging into what this movie is about at the core was in more behind the scenes extensive content, which obviously had a lot more time to showcase what the movie is actually about. I also think we're constantly talking about these massive epic stories. Everywhere you look is Dune, The Odyssey, Project Hail Mary, and those are all great. I'm genuinely in awe at the scale of these movies and the amount of love and care that goes into making them and the care that the viewers show for them and turning up at cinemas. But when the year comes to an end and I make my end of year videos, I always end up talking about the smaller movies that quietly found a little place in my heart. There were also some other aspects of the movie that I really enjoyed, such as the struggle of being a foreigner, trying your best to understand another society while constantly being told that you'll never truly understand it, and maybe part of that is true. Director Hikari said that she was actually inspired by her own experience moving from Japan to the United States, creating a new life there, and wanted to flip it around in this film. The movie also really emphasizes just how terrible loneliness is, and in my personal opinion, the internet is just making it worse. I have some very strong opinions about social media and AI. We won't get into it. I think we're supposed to all be connected, but to tie into the movie's topic, apparently back in 2009 there was something like 10 of these rental companies, and now the director said it's closer to 300. While I was watching this movie, I started to wonder whether The Whale had anything to do with Brendan Fraser being cast as the lead, because of his beautiful, heartbreaking depiction of loneliness. In that film, he portrayed isolation so beautifully, and it wasn't only physical because he was basically housebound, but years of loneliness had also made him withdraw from the outside world. And director Hikari actually confirmed that she decided to cast Fraser after being deeply moved by his performance in the movie. I also think there needs to be a certain type of persona to portray his character in the movie. I'm not saying Fraser has lost all the vitality from his years of The Mummy, but nowadays he's mostly known for being more soft-spoken, thoughtful, respectful, emotional. He's been through so much with everything that happened to him in Hollywood and being pushed out of the industry for years. So I really enjoyed seeing him shine in the role here, rather than a loud actor in the role, because in Rental Family it's not only the customers who are lonely, the protagonist himself also carries a massive emotional baggage that slowly unravels throughout the film. So it's not just funny, quirky actor gets himself into goofy situations because he's pretended to be somebody else. That comedic side is definitely there, but there's a much deeper emotional core. So although Rental Family does have its issues, its plot holes, it manages to tackle the concept of loneliness in such a delicate manner. As Rental Family says, some people just need somebody to look them in the eye and remind them that they exist. And with that, I would love to hear your thoughts on the movie. If you've seen it, let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. If you haven't seen it, does it sound like something interesting? I'm curious to read all your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.